Hey everyone. So I'm going to start my hotel horror stories today, and this is actually not just scary stories from the hotel, but this is actually like my real life past working experience in hotels and staying in hotels. But the first story that we're going to start off with is where I worked in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina as a housekeeper at a pretty well-known hotel. Had about 14, 15 floors, and I always had the floors between 8 and 13. So I was always up in the air. So, while working at this hotel, I'm going to just jump right into it. While working at this hotel, we had inspectors. Now, these inspectors made a lot more money than we did. We made $6.50 an hour. So, we lived off of tips that customers would leave behind, because during their stay, we'd bring them towels, snacks, brochures, take their dirty linens and towels out, bring them new ones, shampoos, razors, whatever they needed, we kept furnished. Anytime they called us, whether it was night shift or day shift, we ran to them. We gave a good attitude, good work ethic. We did everything by the book. If they needed something cleaned or they needed new coffee or directions, we did it. We found a way to get it done. The inspectors, their job was to go and unlock your room before you cleaned it, whether the customer had been there for one night or 2 weeks. Now, mind you, we see these customers every day sometimes for 2 and 3 weeks. Sometimes we only see them, for like a day or so, but we still interact with them one-on-one. So the inspectors, I had one, his name was Charlie, and I had another one whose name was Miss Stephanie. Now, they alternated back and forth between the lower half of the floors and the higher half of the floors. So for half of the month, I'd have Mr. Charlie. Another half of the month, I'd have Miss Stephanie. Let me tell you, I would much rather have Miss Stephanie because she never stole my tips. Yes, you have to watch inspectors if you are a condo cleaner or a hotel room cleaner of any kind because, see, you don't have the key unless you're a condo cleaner. And sometimes even your boss has that key, or unless you do it privately. But when you work at a hotel, the hotel inspector has the key. They come unlock your room that you've been cleaning for the customer all week long. They unlock the room. They go in, make sure there's no damage. They make sure the TV's there, DVD player's there, the board games, couch, furniture, everything's intact. And then they're supposed to walk out. They're supposed to leave any money, alcohol, food, candy, anything. Leave it there. If they find electronics, they're supposed to report it. If they find jewelry, they're supposed to report it. They're not supposed to take anything. Now the money, the tip is left for the cleaner. Let me say that for you in the back. It is left for the cleaner, not the inspector. The inspector's not cleaning the room. The inspector is not the one who took care of the room all week. So, yeah, I get worked up about this because he stole so many tips from me, from all of us. So, when he first started, I'd already been there for about a year. Now, his probably like maybe 4th week into it is when, about a month into it, we noticed the tips getting missing. The alcohol going missing. Now, this was summertime, so every day we had tons of alcohol, tons of chips, candies, cakes, anything that they didn't. These people would travel across the country, and they didn't want to drag all that stuff back home. Boogie boards, baseball bats, beer bongs, pop bongs, all kinds of stuff. They didn't want to drag all that mess back home, so they leave it in the room, and the cleaners take it home. And I noticed when Charlie started, there was never nothing left. So I'm like, where's my tips going and where's my stuff going? Well, then I talked to a few other housekeepers who I'm friends with, and they all say the same thing. When Miss Stephanie is our inspector, nothing gets touched. She unlocks the door, she checks for damage, she leaves. That's it. When Charlie's the inspector, he unlocks the door, checks for damage, and he takes your money, and he takes anything else he wants to take. So I said, well, you know what? I'm going to get the bright idea, and I'm going to take my phone and I'm going to record him because I'm sick of it. So what I did was, okay, so I take my phone, and the next morning when we come into work, I know that I have a big family who is leaving. They'd been there for like 2 weeks. Now, I service this family to the T. I mean, they didn't have to call me for nothing. I was there. I stalked them. I was there. I brought towels, coffee, candies, cakes. I brought stuff from the store that I bought personally for their kids, as parting gifts, as like, please leave me a good tip. I'm poor. I'm very, very poor. Please leave me a good tip. And, I figured they would. So the morning comes, and Charlie's like, "Oh, the family's left. You can go ahead and go clean the room." And I'm like, "Oh man, my car payment's due. Like, I really need this tip, and I know it's gonna be like, I mean, I hate to sound that way, but when you're a housekeeper, you live on these tips. Whether it's $2 or $100 or 1,000, you need them." And I was, because in this hotel that I worked at, it was pretty much known that you leave a tip unless it's bad service. And I gave great service, so I knew they were going to leave one. Anyways, so I get in there, and there's like $5. And I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. I appreciate $5. $5 puts power on my power stat. That gives me lights for a day or two. Groovy. Great deal. Well, here's where the little glitch happens. So what Charlie boy. Now, let me tell you this first. Charlie was having a FWB relationship with my boss. Charlie was married and my boss was married. But they were having an FWB relationship. So anytime somebody would report Charlie, she wouldn't do anything. And also, that's how he got the job of being an inspector before one of us did. Because they were having sex. Okay, now back to this part. So the next morning, Charlie goes and locks the door, checks for damages, comes back out, comes to where I am, tells me I can go ahead and go in. The room's ready, and I find the $5 deposit. I find like a little mini bottle of alcohol, and that's it. I'm like, wow. After 2 weeks, I really thought this is a family that I've served before, and the last time they left me $150 just for serving them for 4 days. But that's fine. I'm appreciative. What Charlie Boy did not expect was the fact that the dad of the family, bless his soul, the dad of that family, forgot something. So he walks back up to the room, and I'm in there cleaning, and old Daddy Boy walks up, and he's like, "I really hope you enjoy your tip. You were amazing. You gave us great service. We've never had a housekeeper be so polite, respectful, on time, prompt, so with it. He said, I would hire you as a personal housekeeper. I trust you that much." He said, "I even left jewelry sitting around just to see if anybody would take it, and you didn't touch any of it." He said, and I asked for my computer not to be touched. You didn't touch it. I asked for this to be done, that to be done. You did every bit of it. I really hope you enjoy your $600 tip." I'm like, what? So I'm shocked. I said, $600? What the are you talking about? I got $5 that was on the bar this morning. He said, "No, ma'am. Oh, no, ma'am. I left you $600 in $100 bills in an envelope with your name on it." I said, "Well, here's the $5 bill." He said, "That's not mine. I left $100 bills." That was it. So at this point, he's fuming. He's like, "No, I'm going to report this dude. I'm going to report his butt. We're done. I'm not going to have this because you don't deserve that." I'm like, "Please calm down, because I don't want to get fired." Because I was that kind of person. I didn't want to lose my job. But I did want the tip. But I didn't want to get fired over it either, because I knew they were having an affair. So he goes downstairs. He asks to speak to the boss. My boss comes out. He tells her what happened. And she's like, "Call Charlie on the radio." So Charlie comes up, and she tells Charlie, and Charlie's like, "You're lying. You're this. You're that." This dad pulls out his whatever kind of technology phone, BlackBerry, whatever it was, and he has a picture of it on the bar in an envelope with my name on it. I'm like, oh, the ace of all aces, the jack of all jacks, boy. Oh man, this is awesome. He has proof. He's got your butt. I don't have to do anything. You're busted. You're busted. You're busted. You freaking liar, cheater. You thief. You're busted. So we all stand there and talk, and my boss, because she's in front of her boss and 2 other people who have come in, and another inspector, Miss Stephanie, myself, the dad, and Charlie, she has to, "Hey, where's the money?" "I don't know where the money is. I didn't have the money." She said, "Charlie, you got one chance. Give me the money or you're fired." I'm like, he stole. Fire him. He stole not only from me, but from a customer. Imagine what else he's stealing out of these rooms. And remember, I don't know if I said this or not yet, but we had other girls. They had said that their tips were missing too. Our lockers had been robbed a couple of times. Even the people that come and stayed had been missing jewelry at a couple of times on another floor. Of course, I had to keep my cool, stay calm, She gives him another chance. He gives the money. He admits to it. He says that, oh, he's in such a bind. He needs the money more than I do. I'm like, I'm living in my car. You're living in a 3-bedroom house with your wife and your child. Y'all living on the boulevard on the beach. Meanwhile, I'm living in my car at the hospital. Come on, you need it more than me. Get out of here. Well, then she gives him another chance. They give me my money. That the dad goes to the family. They all leave. He tells my boss, he's like, I would not ever come back here again, but I hope you take care of this, and y'all need to fire that guy. He's a thief and a liar. She was like, oh yeah, we're going to take care of it. We're going to take care of it. She lied to him because they didn't fire him. So later on that evening, we're leaving work and everybody's talking about it. Everybody's like, well, if he stole your $600 tip, then I know he stole from my rooms. I know he stole this and stole that. Everybody's fuming. I'm like, look, the best thing to do is exactly what that dad did. Get it on camera. Get it on camera. And we have to remember, he is sleeping with our boss. So we can only say and do so much without being fired. And there were many, men and women like me who were either homeless, about to be homeless, had bills up to their neck. They couldn't afford to lose their job, like I couldn't. So I decided, you know what? We're going to get him. He's going to stop this. So on the way out of the hotel, he pulls me to the side and he's like, I can't believe you snitched on me. I said, what do you mean I snitched on you? The dad who left me the tip came up and asked me. He confronted me about the tip, and I see the tip. I didn't know about the tip. You took the damn tip. I didn't know about it. All I found was a $5 bill. Well, you should have kept your mouth shut. I said, you keep your mouth shut. And this is when I get on my whole level of, I'm about to do it. Snap. And of course, Miss Stephanie jumps in, Miss Brenda jumps in. They're all like, no, everybody calm down. He's like, I got you. Wait to open your next room. I'm like, go right ahead. Go right ahead. And I left it at that. The next morning, he's not on my floor. He's on a couple of floors below mine, about 4 floors down on the next level. So my friend, Jacqueline, she's got him. He's her inspector. He goes into several of her rooms. Now, little do we know that Jacqueline is actually having an FWB relationship with the janitor. The janitor who, we're the housekeepers, we clean the rooms, do things like that, but we had a janitor who came through the cafeterias, the work areas, the floors, and he took you had a trash chute that you would throw all your trash down, and he would take all the trash from those chutes and from the big trash cans at the end of the hallways. He also cleaned the elevators, he cleaned the carts, he cleaned the windows on the outside, stuff like that. The janitor had a key too, for emergencies. So Jacqueline sets up her little phone in her room, and she catches Charlie, Patrick's coming up. She catches Charlie on camera, stealing her tips, her alcohol, the cereal, the chips, the drinks, like 5 cases of Sundrop. Like what? And he's sneaking down the stairs. He's not even taking the elevator, he's taking the stairs so he can't be seen. She doesn't say anything, she lets it go. Now, before her customer or her people who had left her the tip, with the first family that was there morning, before they leave, she stops them in the lobby and she's like, I hope you had a nice stay. Here's a card, kind of to insinuate, did you leave me a tip? Here's you a card. Did you leave me a card on the table? And the dad is like grabbing the bag and walking out, and the woman turns around, the mom, and she's like, we left you a nice tip on the table. Don't you worry, dear. She's like, oh, no, it's fine. Here's a card. I'm going to miss you guys. You've been here for 3 weeks. Going to miss you. She goes in the room. Her tip's gone. The whole ass tip is gone. She immediately goes to the boss. She doesn't do anything. Miss Sheila just looks at it like, oh, just another day in paradise. I can't do nothing about it. And we're like, you're sleeping with Charlie. That's why you won't do anything about it. Okay, all right. So we're going to go to Patrick. Patrick is a boss above a boss. Patrick is like over everybody that's over us. So we finally get a hold of Patrick. We have to wait like 30 minutes to get in his office, and we tell him the whole thing. At first, he was kind of iffy, like, are y'all telling the truth? Or is it just hearsay? Are you just mad at him because he's sleeping with her, blah, 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 being mean to you? Like, no. We got proof. once we pulled that out, he was done. He walked directly downstairs. He said, the best thing you can do, Mr. Charlie, is get the out. Give her tip. And at that point, Charlie's fired, so he don't want to get the tip back. He makes a huge scene. Big ass scene. No, I'm not giving her tip. This is my money. I earned this money. She blah, blah, blah. And she's like, give me my tip. So they almost fist fight in the hallway, and the bottom where the lobby is outside of their office. And Mr. Patrick's like, no, give her money. I'm calling the police. You've stolen now on camera. We had you stealing 2 times. Well, then the security footage. They never think about checking that. Well, they end up calling the law because he breaks 1 or 2 tables. He tries to break like the gym door where they exercise at. He tries to break that glass door, but he couldn't break it because he was too weak. I mean, it was a thin ass door. I don't know how he couldn't break it, but anyways. He breaks a couple of end tables and a coffee table. The law gets called. They come. We show him the video. He gets reported. About 3.5 weeks later, almost a month later, the hotel is going through the footage, and they see him, Charlie, going up and down the stairways, looking out the stairway door like that to see if anybody's coming or not. And he's got armloads of stuff going down to the parking garage that he's been stealing stuff from everybody. Every day since he got hired, he'd been stealing. And they caught footage of him and her, my boss, having sex in the freaking stairway. I'm thinking to myself, they just both got fired. Now, I liked her. It wasn't that I didn't like her. I was shocked that she got fired because she had been there for like 20 years. He'd only been there for like 2 or 3 months. She was married. He was married. They were having an affair. But they were caught having sex in the stairwells. They were fired. I'm like, y'all know there's cameras everywhere out here. Why would y'all do that in the stairwell? You can see these cameras. They have big blinking lights. Just like my headset has a blue and red light right there. It blinks off and on. These cameras had bright red lights that blinked on them. You could see them. So I don't know why they did that there. It was so dumb, but they did. Well, so I worked there right on into, a few years later. I mean, I loved that place. We had such a great time. I seen a lot of things there. I'll give you a couple. Oh, and Charlie did get out of jail. He did have to pay like some restitution back to the hotel, back to some customers that had came and stayed. He stole laptops, he stole class rings, he stole clothes, he even took stuff home to his wife and his kid. He gave stuff to my boss as gifts. Just crazy. Crazy stuff. But that's Myrtle Beach, South Carolina for you. I can tell you that. So another just quickie story I'll tell you. I was working at a place on the beach. It was a hotel, and it was I think it had like 8 floors. And I was on the 8th floor one day. Well, I knew we had like a big party coming in, and they were going to be renting like half the floor. They were going to have half a floor to themselves, which is like 7 rooms. Big penthouse rooms and smaller rooms from the end all the way up to the middle. They were going to have all that themselves. Like, okay, that's a big party. Probably a big tip. Awesome. Great. I'll take that. That's my floor anyways. Cool. So I'm on the 8th floor, and as soon as I get to work, I'm clocking in. I'm grabbing my cart, my cleaning stuff. I'm getting my work stuff together, and I'm pushing my cart, and I'm all ill because, let me pull that up. I'm all ill because it's so early in the morning, but I'm fixing to have to deal with customers, so I put my smile on. Good morning. How are you doing? Good morning. I'm great. How about you? Did you have a good breakfast? I did too. Oh, I love your hair. Who does your hair? Where you get your nails done? And they're like, I like your nails. And I'm looking at my bald ass nails. I ain't even got no nails. They all messed up from cleaning all the time. I love your nails. I love your hair. And you have to have that positive attitude with your customers because you're living off of tips. Say it with me. You're living off of tips. You have to be nice. So this woman, she was in one of the little party rooms. She comes out in her bikini, in her little house coat on, and she's like, good morning. I'm like, good morning. How are you doing? She was like, there ain't no reason to be that damn happy this early in the morning. I'm like, okay.